Welcome to the show. Your parents, the PTA, the FBI don't want you to hear SEGA News Bits. I'm Barry. With me is George.
Hello, everyone.
And actually, that wasn't true. They want you to hear this, especially the FBI. They're listening to you at this moment. Publisher Deep Silver is bringing Atlus and select SEGA games to Europe. What? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
All right, well, this news dropped pretty early in the morning. I believe it was on the 6th, so it was just yesterday as of recording this. And Deep Silver, they're going to be releasing Atlus and some SEGA games to Europe, specifically Persona 5. I'm going to call it SMT 4 Apocalypse and Seventh Dragon 3 Code VFD. Yeah, and there's more games as part of the deal. News just kept rolling in and we kept making assumptions, or I kept making assumptions. It sounded like SEGA Europe was not involved. I guess I complained enough on Facebook or Twitter about the inaccuracies or the confusion that SEGA themselves actually posted a story clarifying it. And so basically what it is that SEGA, okay, so I'll read the quote from SEGA of America proper. They said, "The next question out of your mouth, I'm sure, is, but why? You have SEGA Europe, use them." And that's what I was kind of saying. Yes, we do have a European branch, but they're very much their own business. And as a business unit, SEGA Europe focuses on our Western IP titles, the titles developed by our Western studios, such as Creative Assembly, Relic Entertainment, Sports Interactive, and in partnership with studios such as PlaySport Games. With the majority of those titles being released to the PC, we've seen an evolution of SEGA Europe into a more digitally centric business over the last few years. For any packaged releases of SEGA Europe Western IPs, they already partnered with Deep Silver to bring those titles to the market in Europe. It made sense to mirror that partnership with the SEGA of America managed Japanese IP titles, which currently have a heavier bias towards physical releases. SEGA Europe will still be publishing Yakuza 0. I think this is a pretty important statement because it clarifies a lot of things that we were either guessing or we kind of knew, but we weren't really saying because, we don't know, for exposing.
It pretty much, it confirms that SEGA of Europe is shit. Let's be honest. Come on, how can you not publish your own games out of Japan? Bare minimum, I'm okay with them expanding. I love the fact that they're cornering the market on the RTS franchises. That's all good, but you got to give the core SEGA fans a bone. You can't even publish a 3DS game. You can't even publish fucking Persona 5, dude. Come on. Are you serious right now? Persona fucking 5?
Yeah,
that's gonna be. It's like, I don't know. It's just weird.
Well, then, I'm glad that SEGA of America came out and said this. It does clarify it. It makes a lot of sense. However, at the same time, it does really cement the fact that SEGA Europe themselves are very much focused on the RTS games, are very much focused on PC, and they're saying that's their focus. The way I see it though is they just don't give a shit about anything else because they're doing well enough as is with those things, and so it's kind of surprising then that, SEGA of America, they're managing the Japanese IPs. You're not seeing any of those outside of Yakuza 0, which SEGA Europe is publishing. It's like all these Japanese SEGA games, there's like a direct pipeline from Japan to SEGA of America with the assistance of Atlus USA. SEGA Europe doesn't have anything to do with it. And that's kind of surprising. I thought SEGA Europe had something.
It's just kind of weird. It's like they're really choosy on which ones they're going to put their name on.
Right. And so, I just want to stress this is good news. SEGA of America and Atlus USA, for as much shit as British fans throw America's way, this is SEGA of America helping you guys out. Give them a round of applause because they're picking up the slack where SEGA Europe, clearly has. Exactly. I mean, I think we made America great again.
I think we should run for president.
We made SEGA of America great again. They're actually doing what SEGA Europe can't do. And, I don't want to slam, the guys we work with at SEGA Europe. They're nice guys. I think I can slam the higher ups who probably don't give a shit about us or don't even know who we are.
The guys in SEGA Europe are obviously focused on a totally different marketplace. They're doing their own thing. And I personally think that it's kind of weird because when they did their last, I don't even know how many restructures they've done. They kind of made the Europe and SEGA of America kind of work together. And I don't think it worked that well for them. Yeah. So now they're separated and SEGA of America is more like they're translating and publishing Japanese games while SEGA of Europe is managing in all the Western titles. That's new, and I guess it sounds good on paper, but when you don't bring Japanese games to Europe that are already translated, it's kind of, it looks kind of bad.
Right, like I almost feel like an infographic is called for. Not that I'm asking you to make one, but it's just like I'm trying to wrap my head around like how they're functioning, and it is very odd. Like SEGA Europe is above SEGA of America. A lot of people there tell SEGA of America what to do, but they're still their own businesses. And then SEGA of America is now working with Atlus USA much more, which means they're managing Japanese brands from Japan, or from SEGA of Japan.
Yeah, and you also got to say that like Sonic is its own separate department, it seems like.
Right. Yeah, Sonic, I mean, obviously they're developing games over in Japan, but also Izuka and I believe maybe some other Sonic team members are now permanently working, or at least working now in the US in a Sonic-only office, which is being shared with Marza Animation, which is making the Sonic movie. And so, yeah, there's lots of silos going on. There's lots of very strange, I guess, connections, like we just talked about, you know, ad nauseum, the SEGA of Japan working with SEGA of America to release games in Europe when there is a European branch. So it's like, I don't know, if it works, it works. But I just gotta say that whoever is in charge of these decisions, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking, because this is very confusing management structure and it's just bizarre. I don't know.
And can we also talk about how weird that Deep Silver is the one that stepped up and said they're going to be doing this, because like their repertoire of games don't really, I mean, they're not really a Japanese publisher. They're like Saints Row. They got Homefront. They do the Dead Island games. Mm-hmm. And I guess Mighty Number 9, if you count that, I mean, that's a Japanese game, I guess. Yeah. Mighty Number fucking 9. Fuck that game. Anyway, yeah, it's good for European fans, and that's all I have to say about that.
So what are your thoughts on this? Are you fine with SEGA Europe dropping the ball and someone else, particularly SEGA of America, rolling with it? Or do you want SEGA Europe to actually step up and do a little something? If you'd like more SEGA news, check us out at SEGAbits.com. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and follow us on all our social networks.